Welcome to AutoCAD Bytes. Today I'd like to look at DEISEL Script and how we can use DEISEL Script to automatically generate layers in a drop-down menu. We'll have a quick look at what DEISEL Script is. We'll reinstate the menu bar if you've installed AutoCAD and you don't have a menu bar up. And we'll also have a look at Notepad and the actual script itself, and then how to load that into AutoCAD and then use it. So what is DEISEL Script? DEISEL Script is a very basic command line scripting language that you can use to automate tasks like macros. It's the benefit of it, it works in both LT and full-blown AutoCAD, unlike Lisp routines. It has some limitations. It's not as powerful as AutoLisp or Lisp, but you can still do some quite clever stuff in it. I generally use it for creating macros, for automating tasks that I use with the keyboard all the time. Now you'll notice from my other tutorials that I use the keyboard a lot. I very rarely click on icons, so it works to my advantage to be able to put my keyboard clicks into a macro and then put it either into a button or into a pull down menu. So let's have a look at some of the commands. The layer command, if I type in LA at the keyboard, it brings up the layer dialog box. Now this is no good if I'm trying to write a macro, so the way of suppressing the layer box is putting a hyphen in front of it. So if I type in hyphen LA, it brings up the same information, but it brings it up at the command line level. So you can hear you've got question mark, make, set, new, rename, etc. What I want to do is I want to check to see if I've already got a layer installed or created and then thaw it. So let's look at, say, the text layer. T for thaw. It's asking me what layer I'd like to thaw. I'd like to thaw the text layer. Okay, it's told me there's no matching layer names found, which is great. We can make it then. So M for make. Now, what layer would I like to make? It's going to become current, so I want to make the text layer. Enter. Next, I want to give it a color. C for color, and I'm going to give it color 7, which is white. Okay, it's asking me which layer do I want to make white, and by default it's got text in angled brackets there, so I just have to press enter. Once I'm happy with that, I can just press enter, and you'll see in the top left hand corner here we now have a new layer which is current, called text. What we're going to do is take those keyboard commands that we've just used and put them into a notepad document and then save them up here as a drop down menu. Now here's a drop down menu which I've created and I use for a client of mine, and I've got a whole series of layers that we use, and in these layers I've got flyout menus which allow me to generate sub layers. So for instance, I've got paving. The primary layer for paving I use is grey. By clicking on that, it generates a grey paving layer. Now if I'd like a subsequent paving layer which is a secondary layer, I've allowed myself a selection of different pen weights from 0.01, so 3 colors for 0.01, 0.13, 0.18, 0.25, etc. right until we get up to pen size 1, and then some special colors here which I use for shadows. So if I wanted to generate a 0.3 pen, which I use yellow for, I just click on that and I have a paving secondary layer. If I just open that drop down box, you can see I've got the paving primary, paving secondary, and then that text layer that we just generated on the fly with the keyboard entry. So let's open up Notepad and have a look at the script. Okay, the first step is to type out the layers that we'd like to generate. We're going to create a text layer, a floor layer, a wall layer, and a roof layer. And we'll add also in a sub layer to the roof which is called batten. Okay, once we have those layers, we'll just move them down, and this is when we can start putting the code in. The first bit of code is a little bit of code that tells AutoCAD that it's a group menu and what its name is. So the code for this is asterisk asterisk, 3 asterisks, then group menu, and its name is CAD bytes underscore layers. Now this can be anything you like. as long as you've got the group menu equals in there. And the next bit of code, 3 asterisks and a pop 1, tells Autocad that it's a pop-up menu and that it'll just add it to the next available slot in the drop-down menu area. The next bit of code is in square brackets, and it's what we want to appear on the actual menu bar. So CAD bytes layers, end square bracket, and we'll just tab in, and this is where we start our first bit of sub menu. So square brackets, we're going to arrow in, so to tab in, indent this actual word, and it's going to be text, close square bracket, and we'll just tab again, and this is where we'll start putting some user information in. So this is we've tabbed into the text. We're now going to tab in again for a flyout menu to show the user what they're going to click on, and in this case again it's text, but we're going to tell them that it's a 0.25 layer that they'll be choosing, and that the Autocad color will be, number will be 7, close square brackets. This is the first bit of code that we're going to use to actually generate the script. First of all, what we need to do is, whenever you're in Autocad, you want to ensure that before you start this command that you hit escape twice, and the DEISEL script for that is --C, and that'll kick you out of any commands. Now, if you remember from the introduction, the next bit was layer, and we want to suppress the dialog box, so we hit -LA. And Autocad or DEISEL uses a semicolon as an enter button. So instead of hitting the enter key, we just put a semicolon in there, and that Autocad sees that as an enter. And then we can Thor, enter, text, enter. It will tell us that there's no layer generated by that name. So then we can go ahead and make, enter, M, text, enter, and then we can set its color, C, enter, to 7, enter. And then there's just 2 more enter buttons to kick us out of the command and actually generate the layer. Now what I need to do at the beginning of this is, once we've indented, we then have to move back again out of the indent. So we'll go the opposite, which is a less than, more than, and a hyphen, and that'll take us back to the next layer, so take us back out again. Now we can be a bit sneaky here. We can just copy this bit of text and paste it here, and we'll change this to floor. We'll change this to floor, and we're going to change this color to, let's say, 0.35, which is a yellow color. Let's call that, instead of calling that color, we'll call it white. Call that yellow, and that is color 3. Sorry, color 2 in Autocad. So again, we go through our code, escape, open the layer command, suppressing the dialog box, Thor the layer floor. If it doesn't exist, then make the layer floor and give it the color 2. Repeat the command for wall. We'll keep it yellow for simplicity. So we just have to change the names that it's going to be generated under. Again, paste, roof, and I'm going to make this 0.1, which is a grey color, and it's color number 8, roof, and again roof. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove, actually I'm going to copy this and just paste it below, and I'm going to remove that indent or return indent out of that. So now there'll be two items in this submenu before it kicks out back to the root menu, and we'll call this batten, and we'll make this red, which is also a 0.1 pen in my plot style table, but it's color 1. And finally change that to color 1. Okay, we can delete this information that we're just using as reference. So that is essentially all you need to do to generate these 5 layers. Let me just reiterate that these pen weights and colors are based on the Autocad CTB file. Now, the CTB file uses the colors of the lines to interpret the pen weights. Now, I'll look at doing a tutorial on CTB files a little later on, but you can find information in the help files about how to set the CTB files to match the colors. So if you want the yellow pen to be 0.35, etc. Okay, so let's save this file. So file, save as, and we're going to go to all files. Save under here. I'm going to call that CAD bytes layers. That's now generated an MNU file, although having said that, let's have a quick look at it. It's saved as a text file. You may need to rename this to MNU so AutoCAD sees it as a menu file. Let's go back to AutoCAD. To install that drop-down menu box, there's first of all, if your menu bar doesn't exist, type in menu bar, and currently mine is set to 1. If I was to set that to 0, it would turn the menu bar off. As you can see, it's now disappeared from up here. So menu bar again, set it to 1, and that will turn the menus, the AutoCAD default menus, back on. So once they've turned on, then we need to load the menu, and we type in menu load, which pops up the load unload customizations. We browse for the menu, and again I've gone to where I've saved the menu file, click open, and then click load, and then you can see once I've clicked close that it's popped up a new menu for me, and I've got text, flooring, walling, and this is where we did the 2 submenus with the roof and the batten. So let's just test it to make sure it works. So if I click on text, I've now got a text file which I'd already generated. Floor, I've now got a yellow floor, I've now got a yellow wall, grey roof, and red battens. And that's how you use DEISEL Script to automate the process of creating layers. It also means that everybody in the office will be using the same layer conventions, and there'll be less errors and complications when merging drawings together. I hope this helps.